Now, I would like to introduce Nina Hoffman, Project Director in the European Cluster Alliance. Nina, the floor is yours.
Many thanks, Justina, and also from our side, a warm welcome to this webinar where we're going to look at the topic of project management, which is, of course, one of most interest to many of you who are involved in EU-funded projects and also possibly are already leading an EU project or want to lead one in the future, potentially in I3, which is what we're here for. And we have brought with us 3 case studies for you to look at, who will present their projects and their learnings from the project management point of view. And as you can see in the agenda, we will have first an introduction to the topic given to us by Antonio Nobile, the president of the European Clusters Alliance. We would then like to involve all of you in some Slido polls, just to make sure that you're there with us and to have your views. And also to say already now, we will monitor the chat. So please include all the questions you might have to the speakers in the chat, and we will take them as we go on with our webinar. And then we will look and hear from 3 entities, TIC Biomed, Stichting New Energy Coalition, and Vagralim on their projects and learnings on project management. And we also reserved some time at the end for Q&A. But as I said, if there are many questions coming in, we will also try to address them after each of the presentations. And with that, I will hand over to Antonio to give us some introductory words. Thank you, Antonio, for being with us.
Thank you very much, Nina. Good afternoon, everyone. Today's session brings together the I3 community to exchange what works when we turn interregional strategy into real investment and outcomes. Interregional projects ask us to align different administrative cultures and timelines, sustain stakeholder engagement across regions, and manage demanding contractual and financial requirements, often while operating large distributed consortia. The teams you will hear from today have navigated exactly those challenges, from the nitty-gritty of contract amendments and SME support to the realities of class flow and unit cost travel rules. They will share the governance tools and practical flexibility that kept the partnerships on track. So it's very good to have them here with us. Thank you very much. And let's discuss on those practical aspects. We will start with your ideas, your opinion, your question using Slido. Nina, the floor is back to you.
Thank you, Antonio. So here you have the QR code to our Slido. You can either scan this code with your phone or just go to slido.com and use the hashtag I3projects to come to our quick polls. And we will see the results live on screen as they come in. So please scan or go to slido.com, hashtag I3projects. And we will use that as a kind of warm-up to also get to know about you in the audience who is with us. So our first question is, have you ever managed an EU-funded project? What is your experience? Already multiple times, maybe once, maybe you're a total newbie to EU-funded projects, or you've participated in a consortium. All very valid experiences, and we see a great variety among the audience. That is great. We see maybe 30% has already led a project once of 30 or multiple times. We do have people who are new to EU-funded projects in our webinar, which is also great, and the ones who participated in a consortium but have not managed themselves an EU project. Very good. I see we already have 25 answers. Maybe if we get to 30. Let's see. But yeah, multiple times is already a very good answer. And also we have a lot of people who are new. So this is also an encouragement to the ones who already have managed EU-funded projects, put in during the presentations, also your comments, your experiences that you can share with others, so that we can have also a good discussion going on in the chat, and also your questions to our speakers. The next question for you. This will be a word cloud. So in one word, how do you feel about project management? Type in a word that comes to mind when you think about project management. Needs to be strong, delicate, managing the different partners, yes, communication, complex, excited, very good words, need to be proactive, can be comfortable, yes, can also be very challenging and complex. You need collaboration and communication, indeed. Bureaucratic, yes, you also have to deal with bureaucracy and problem solving. You need to be organized. I also ask our speakers to take good note of this to see what the participants are saying so that they can address maybe one of two of these bits in their presentations. Complex and challenging are the ones that are most coming up most in your answers, which is what I hear in the screen so big. Indeed, many thanks for this. And then I see one more person's typing. I will, yeah. Time, procedures, yes, indeed. Okay. Great, thank you. And one last question also for your imagination. Project deadlines are like, and finish the sentence. So whatever comes to mind here, you'll have the answers. A normal thing, that's great. A good, perfect. Good news, the Kyrgyzstan and nightmares, time consuming. Nice milestones, but it can also be stressful. Indeed, achievable, great. Like nannies on, that's also a good one. It's a real opportunity, that's very good. Yeah, stressful but fulfilling, yeah, fulfilling indeed. Reminder, great. So a lot of great inputs that you've already selected as a kind of a warm up to our topic. I will let one person type. And then I will hand over the microphone to our first speaker. Thank you for all the answers. To Elena Lopez from TIC Biomed to give us, first of all, a presentation of their i3 project and some insights into how this is managed by her and the team. So thank you very much, Elena, for being with us.
Thank you, Nina, and thank you, the whole i3 support facility team, for having us. So good afternoon, everyone. I will present a little bit the health chain. We are a healthcare project, and our aim is to boost digital transformation of healthcare across region. Next slide, please. So a little bit about us first. So you may know that in healthcare, most services are coming from public organizations, right? So if you are a company or a startup building a product in the healthcare domain that is to be used in a hospital setting, very likely that you need to talk to the public sector, right? So in health chain, what we are doing is to involve the public and private sectors in the regional ecosystem to develop demand-driven digital health solutions through co-creation between the healthcare organizations and the companies. So our approach is ecosystem enabled, as we like to call it. We want to create structured links between the stakeholders within the ecosystem and also work demand-driven, meaning that the healthcare organizations are the ones who identify the needs, the innovation challenges that they have, and only after they search for the companies with the solutions to solve those needs. They do so by co-creating and piloting the technology or the solution together, and then they are committed to continue the collaboration after the i3 project. So in terms of numbers, we are 36 partners. The project will be running for 38 months. We will finish actually in February next year. We have 25 regions involved. Not all of them are partners. We have 10 regions who are partners, and then we have 15 additional regions who have joined a community of practice to learn about how we are working. In total, we are developing 24 innovative solutions, and we were funded under Strand 2A back in 2021. That's why we are about to finish already. And our project budget is a little bit more than 9.5 million euros, obviously 70% funded because of the i3 instrument co-funding rate. Of course, that's always the same. Next slide, please. So one of our key values is that in each region, we always bring the same structure of players. So we always have a healthcare organization such as a hospital or a regional healthcare authority that identifies the innovation challenges that they want to solve. Then we have the IT companies with solutions at least technology readiness level of 6 to solve that innovation challenges. And then what we call an ecosystem supporter. This is kind of an intermediate organization like a cluster or an innovation hub who supports the stakeholders within the ecosystem and links to the other ecosystems in the project to reach the interregional component. And they also provide business development services for the companies. Next slide, please. So these are our regions. We have from Romania, Greece, the Netherlands, Belgium, Croatia, Portugal, Spain, and Slovenia. So we have a blend of more developed, less developed, and in transition regions. And as I was saying, 15 additional regions in our community of practice. That it is an informal network to exchange best practices and knowledge on this demand-driven approach. Next slide, please. So in total, as I was saying, we are developing 24 digital health solutions. We have 33 companies working on that. I won't enter into the details, but if you are curious, you can have a look at our website and see the different solutions that we are co-creating. Next slide, please. So in a nutshell, how does our project cover the 3 dimensions in i3? So for the interregional component, we have the cross-border collaboration between the 33 companies on the co-creation of those 24 solutions. We also organize dedicated knowledge exchange sessions, that's how we call them, on certain areas of interest for SMEs and healthcare organizations. This is, for instance, if one region is very interested in remote monitoring of patients, and there's a more developed region that is super advanced on that, we try to facilitate the exchange of best practice to ensure that the value chain is created in that other less developed region. And then the community of practice with the 25 regions that I was mentioning. Then for innovation, we have 2 aspects. The first one is the demand-driven model itself, that sometimes is not the state of the art in the healthcare organization. So it increases the capacity of the healthcare organizations to innovate, to know how to identify needs that require innovation. And second, the 24 solutions that we are actually developing. And for the investment in total, with this project, we plan to mobilize 6.7 million euros for companies in the project through different means. The first one is the connection to testing sites and end users, such as patients and healthcare professionals. This is very difficult for companies in this sector to achieve unless it's done through a project or a support program like this. It can also get very expensive if you do it privately. Second is the access to potential customers, because the healthcare organizations that have participated in health chain are not only testing sites, they have legitimate interest in adopting a solution for that problem that they define. And finally, the companies also receive business support services for commercialization and scale up, leveraging a pool of interregional mentors that we've created thanks to the project. So that's it in a nutshell. Enough promotion about the project already. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about our experience when managing the project. Next slide, please. So first of all, just to mention that the coordinator of Health Chain is TIC Biomed. We are a cluster based in Spain, working for the digital transformation of healthcare. We have 16 national members and more than 2,000 European innovators in our network. And in total, we've participated in 22 European projects. In this case, for Health Chain, we have 2 coordinators, let's say, one more at the strategic and policy level, that is Miriam Martin, she's our head of project management, and another one at the operational level, that's me, Elena Lopez. So just in case it can also give you an idea of having 2 persons actually coordinating, because when you have large consortium, it's really a lot of work, as you know. Next slide, please. So which were our, let's say, top 3 challenges? So for the first one, obviously, is the interregional coordination complexity with such a large consortium, and also with managing 2 levels. As I told you, we are organized at the regional level and then at the project level for the interregional connections. That's quite a big effort. And obviously, as was mentioned in the beginning by Antonio, you have different cultures, different timelines, and also different innovation readiness across the regions. As an example, for the healthcare organizations participated in the project, we can see that in more developed regions, they have a lot of support for innovation with dedicated innovation units, a lot of management support structure for that. Whereas in less developed regions, sometimes it's just one person playing solo, and normally are the clinical profiles who are more innovative and want to enter into this kind of project, but they don't have so much support structure for working in this kind of project. So that's also a challenge, because you have like early adopters and latecomers that you need to manage. Then the second challenge that we faced was the stakeholder engagement and retention. So first of all, for hospitals, they are super busy with care duties, which is their core activity, of course, but that leaves them with very little time for innovation. So that's a challenge for a project like this. Then for the SMEs, we had different innovation-ready SMEs, like in terms of maturity and resources devoted to that. And also this ecosystem supported profile that I mentioned, that was kind of leading the region and the connection to other ecosystem, also varied. And we had from innovation hub to clusters to consultancy firms. So then it really varies how ready they are to engage with the ecosystem, let's say. And our final challenge was, of course, administrative and financial. Contract management was tough in this project because it's so huge, and that we had to submit 6 grant agreement amendments. Seems a little bit, but that's actually a lot. And also we felt that many of the companies, of course, because they have their core business, are not so used to European project. Not only I3 instrument rules, but also Horizon Europe rules were new to them, and you really need to carefully explain everything when it comes to financial and administrative management. And finally, we also had financial support to third parties, meaning we were giving some money to external companies from the consortium to run some pilots. And there, because we were from the initial calls, the funding rate for the FSTP budget was 70%, which means that if you want to give a company 100, the Commission would only reimburse 70, meaning that you need to invest 30. So even if this was explained during the proposal time, when we reached the implementation part, some partners didn't agree with that and actually couldn't do it because many of them were public organizations that are subject to procurement rules, etc. So let's say that we had to reshape a little bit the project concept in order to meet that, address that challenge. Next slide, please. So what solutions did we find for these three problems? The first one was to have a very strong governance. We defined governance structures at two levels, at the regional level, but also at the project level. We have the project executive committee with the work package leaders, and then the regional leads building the bridge between the two, between the ecosystem and also the project level. I will explain a little more about that later. And we also, of course, have regular coordination calls, but with a clear decision log. Sometimes in this kind of projects, people are super proactive, want to interact and discuss a lot. But then when it comes to having clear action points and a clear roadmap, then it's a challenge. So we make sure to put like clear action points for each partner to make sure that we really make some progress. The second solution was to boost accountability of the processes. So for instance, we involved the hospitals in all the steps in the process to make sure that they felt ownership of what they were doing. So they had to define the needs they wanted to tackle, and they had to participate in the selection of the companies that would co-create with them the solution, just to make sure that they felt part of all the stages in the process. The third solution was to have a lot of project management tools. Well, I don't know if it's a lot, but a blend of them. So first of all, we use a lot of shared platforms. For instance, we use Slack for informal communication, as emails sometimes are not the best type of channel for being agile when finding solutions to problems and making decisions. And we also use, for instance, SharePoint for having a common repository of documents. We were also very transparent when it comes to project information. So we created dashboards with the KPIs, the deliverables, milestones, the timeline, so that it was accessible by everybody. And finally, we also prepared templates and guidelines to raise awareness about the reporting rules of the i3 instrument. And finally, we also try to be very flexible and identify bottlenecks as soon as possible and have some agility to agree on contingency actions, like, for instance, reallocating activities between the partners or having to send an amendment. As I was saying, we submitted 6 of them. So that's a little bit in a nutshell, and now I will zoom in a little bit on some of these that I think you might find useful for your projects. So when it comes to the project governance, as I was saying, we have all the ecosystems organized by these 3 roles of healthcare organization, IT company, and ecosystem supporter. And the ecosystem supporter was a key role to dynamize the companies and the healthcare organization, and not also to bring links to external players within that region that were not involved in the project, such as policymakers for sharing the project results and best practices. Then above that, we have the project executive committee that is made up of the work package leaders to ensure that we had like coordination at the regional and the work package level. And above that is the management level. So we are the project coordinator, and we also have a quality and risk manager. And all of us, we are the General Assembly with all the members. Next slide, please. So for each of these bodies, we have different meetings. So for instance, the General Assembly, composed by all the partners, meet every month online and every 6 months also face-to-face. This is pretty standard, I think, for European projects, but it's important to keep, I think, the face-to-face meetings, because it's when you really have relationship building for the consortium, which will ease and smooth a lot the process of working together later on. And I think it also speeds up the decision-making process. We are much faster doing the things face-to-face than online sometimes. Then the project executive committee, we also met online for progress tracking and managing the operational tasks of the project. And obviously, we also had work package meetings and regional meetings to ensure that even like the most operational detail of the project was discussed in the appropriate forum. So that's it for project monitoring. Then when it comes to the next slide, I will explain a little bit the management tools that we developed. So for budget control, we agreed in our consortium agreement that we would do financial reporting every 6 months, even if not requested by the Commission. Why? Because it's the only way to really know how the partners are doing in terms of budget, and also kind of a training activity so that when the official reporting period comes, they really know how to fill all the requirements. So we created templates for that, and we also organized some webinars, especially for the newcomers to the European projects, to know like the key aspects they should get familiar with. And also a very nice initiative from a colleague. Once we had reviewed the first reporting, she created a document of common pitfalls to make sure that we avoided having the same mistakes once and again. Then for quality and risk management, we had what we call the master sheet. This is the dashboard that I mentioned earlier with all the project information, easily accessible for everyone, and where partners have to report, for instance, how they were doing in terms of key performance indicators, the ones that we set in the proposal. Then finally, on FSTP management, just to say that it's super important to have clear templates and meetings with those companies, because they are doing an important part of the project, but they are not partners. So you really need to check on them to see if they are fulfilling what they need to do, also if they need any support or any help. So we try to create very clear templates of the deliverables that they had to send from the start. And we also planned for review meetings with them with dedicated templates as well, to make sure that we could follow what they were doing. And finally, I said it earlier, but once again, we strongly encourage to have informal communication tools like Slack, because the flow of discussion is much better than perhaps writing emails that are more static. Next slide, please. So my final recommendations for future I3 project managers, I think it's pretty generic to any European project that it's of a big scale, let's say, is to first of all invest in early alignment of the partners. As I was mentioning on the FSTP, we only became aware that the partners were not able to do that in month 6. So the sooner that you deal with that, the better, right? So that you don't have surprises later in the project when you cannot really catch up. The second recommendation is to simplify the communication whenever possible. At the end of the day, we are all Europeans speaking English. That is not our native language in most of the cases. So keep it simple, keep a very clear list of specific actions expected from each partner, and it will really make the implementation smoother. The third one is to empower local champions. This is what we try to do with this ecosystem supporter role, really try to have someone with a lot of knowledge within the regional ecosystem to engage with the hospitals, with the SMEs, with the policymakers. Those are like key enablers, let's say. Fourth is to balance ambitions with realism, especially in strand 2A and probably in 2B. So we have regions with varying levels of innovation readiness, so you really need to balance your innovation goals to what partners can realistically deliver. Another one is to roll up your sleeves. On this one, it might be a bit controversial. You might not agree with me, but I think in all projects, you always have some partners underperforming, right? And at the end of the day, when you are coordinating, you really need to make sure that that work is delivered, even if it's not your responsibility. So you sometimes really need to get hands-on on that work, even if it's a bit unfair, but that's what it is. It comes with a coordinating job. And finally, just to stress that you can make the most of your SMEA project advisor. In our case, our experience was super positive. Our advisor was Milena Stoyanova. She was always willing to help, and it's a key asset that I think everyone should leverage and not be afraid that they will spot something wrong with the project. Instead, they are really willing to help and add a lot of value to the project conversation. And that's it. Just to end, here a little bit of a promotional note. We are co-organizing an event with other two health I3 projects, InShape and DigiPre, in Brussels next week on Tuesday, the 23rd, to share concrete results and implementation insights, and also to generate a little bit of a policy discussion. We think that this will be very interesting for I3 project officer from ISMEA or representatives from relevant DGs in the Commission, even other I3 project coordinators. So if that sounds like interesting to you, I will leave the registration link in the chat, and we will see you there in Brussels. Okay, thanks so much, and over to you, Nina.
Many thanks, Elena, and also for presenting your project and your experiences. We have already some questions coming in, so I would like to address them already now, if you agree, so that we don't leave all the questions to the end.
Perfect.
From Ninetta coming in, she's saying she felt like you had a lot of considerable challenges in terms of project management to face. How do you feel about the impact of this on the project content results? So what are your results in the end?
Yeah, so far, I'm confident that without this management, we wouldn't have achieved many of the things that are achieved today. Because even if the partners they know what their responsibilities are, they really need sometimes clear guidelines on let's say like kind of building coherence between all the different pieces. So I'm confident this has impacted the project results. And when it comes to the results that we have so far, as I was saying, we have 24 digital solutions co-created by 33 companies, 25 regions involved in the project, even if some of them are not receiving any funding from the Commission. So I see that super interesting that they are willing to learn from what we are doing. So yeah, I think it's a must to deliver impact to the project. I don't know if that answers your question, Ninetta.
Thank you. Can you elaborate on the mechanisms used to attract the demand side input and mechanisms for better cooperation with the supply side partners? Did the FSTP play a large part in this?
Yes, it did. So how the project was organized is we had the healthcare organizations involved in the proposal from the beginning, and they defined innovation needs at the proposal time, and later on we conducted a needs identification process with them. And those new needs were the ones that were addressed by the FSTP company. So for the ones that were already in the proposal, we had companies to address them. And for the new needs, we had the FSTP companies that we recruited to address them. And on that, we had a full project task for the healthy organizations to launch bottom-up innovation needs discovery, where they directly ask the healthcare professionals and the patients for problems that they have nowadays and that could be solved. And then a selection committee from the hospital involving also the CEO, the IT team, the innovation team selected the best 2 needs per hospitals, and those were the ones that we launched the FSTP call for. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, maybe Alex, you can comment in the chat whether that has answered your question. I will take 2 more because I'm also looking at the clock to go to the next person. Just to sum up, there's a question about some good and less good learnings from collaboration with SMEs. So maybe just a quick summing up your collaboration with the SMEs.
Some good and good learnings from collaborating with SMEs. First of one of my learnings is that they are very powerful technically with their product, but maybe sometimes, not in all cases, but in some cases lacking a bit the business side. So for them, this kind of projects with business support on top of the pilot of the technical part really opens doors when it comes to networking, access to potential customers, shaping the business model. So I would say that's my biggest learning. And also that some of them don't like the business aspect so far because they feel comfortable with the techie stuff. But I think that's the key of this project, to taking them out of their comfort zone and making them start thinking about this, which is what at the end will impact most their strategy and their business overall.
Indeed. And we have a final question. How long did it take you to form such a big consortium? There's so many partners, as we've seen in the presentation. How did you manage?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, because let's say that we followed 2 steps process. Let's say that maybe 2021 were identified at the proposal time, but we brought on board new partners also during the implementation. That was also one of the reasons of having so many amendments, because in our initial concept, many of these SMEs were coming from the FSTP, but as we had to change that a little bit due to the problems we faced, we made some of those companies partners during the execution of the project. So let's say that we didn't manage to attract 36 partners during the proposal time. We are not that good, let's say.
Okay, great, thank you. And I think the question on the funding rate you've already answered in your presentation. I think you said 70%, which is usual for the I3
exactly
instrument. Thank you very much, Elena. In case there are any more questions coming in, feel free to already answer them in the chat, or if not, we will come back to you at the end, towards the end. But now I would like to hand over to Dirk to give us your experience from the New Energy Coalition and the presentation of your project.
Thank you, Nina. I'm happy to be a part of this webinar and explaining a bit about our i3 learnings, and listening to the presentation of Elena. I can relate to a lot of things she mentioned. Some of them I will repeat, some of them I am now realizing why didn't I put that in a sheet, and maybe some other observations could also add to this webinar. So yes, my name is Dirk Koppert. I am project manager of the High to Market project in the i3 program. I work with New Energy Coalition from the Netherlands, and that is already saying we focus on the strand to a green, so the green initiatives in the very first round of the i3 program. First, I will tell something about our organization, New Energy Coalition. Then I have a couple of slides on the High to Market project, and I will end with 4 slides with my observations that I could hopefully help and inspire the audience, and maybe also raise some questions to the audience. But next slide, please. Yes, the New Energy Coalition is a triple helix organization. So we are already engaging with different kinds of stakeholders. We have a lot of strategic partners in the Northern Netherlands, and we focus on 3 main aspects, so to say, so to develop research and innovation projects. So that's where also the High to Market project comes from, but we also want to cross cut this knowledge towards education. So we have a new energy business school where we can educate professionals and companies, but we also are getting our knowledge into a new energy academy. So we will enhance the studies and the programs at our universities here in the Northern Netherlands. Next slide, please. Let's just now focus on the Hy2Market project. Because we identify hydrogen as a very useful topic in the energy transition. A couple of years ago, you might be going wild about all the projects and all the expectations hydrogen could deliver for our energy transition. Maybe we were then a bit in the top of the hype, so to say, and now expectations become more realistic and projects are slowing down, but it is still good to research what hydrogen's role can play in our energy transition. And we identified several roles in the ecosystem, and that is the production of hydrogen, of course. You have to transport it, then you have to look at your uptake in industry or mobility, and last but not least, you want to exchange all the learnings, and that is what we are doing in the Hy2Market project. So we have identified 10 regions that are collaborating with us, and each region has its own niche where they have their innovation. So in each region there are actively SMEs working together within an innovation in this part of the hydrogen value chain. Yeah, I think you can go to the next slide. This is a nice animation. The real thing Hy2Market also delivers is that we are all working together in this virtual value chain, so that learnings from the Constanza region can be brought into the consortium, and we can learn from them, from their challenges, from their struggles, and try to see if we can help them with that, or that they have found a silver bullet, so to say. Next slide, please. What all the SMEs and the regions are doing is in Sphere 1. We have this the I3 funds are dedicated to the real innovations in each region. So they have funds for developing electrolyzers or transport modes or industrial usage. So that is our first goal of our interregional cooperation. But then we also identified a lot of cross-cutting topics, which makes all the learnings in Sphere 1 benefit all the partners in the project, and so accelerating the uptake of hydrogen into the energy system. I think it's good to go to the next slides, please. This is an overview of all the partners in the project. It's not that much as Elena presented, but still we are counting with 41 partners. These are all the funded partners. We also have partners collaborating with no funds, but just contributing with time and hours and following our developments. And these are all except for the cluster organizations, these are all SMEs or industries working on the hydrogen innovations in their region and in their country. Yes, next slide, please. I think this is also something Elena more or less presented. How do you say, the work in progress is best managed with a clear structure. So we have a project management and coordination work package, but that's also where I, as a project manager, have our regular management board meetings with all the work package leaders and task leaders of the real work packages where the work is done. So we have a specific work package on the green hydrogen production and management systems, a specific work package for the hydrogen transport, and then one for the industrial use of hydrogen and mobility use of hydrogen. And each work package is managed by a work package lead who oversees all the innovations and has regular meetings with the partners in this work package to exchange the progress, the difficulties, etc. And then we will talk about it in a management board meeting in our work package 1. I think it's good to mention that the cross-cutting topics here are as worthy as all the different work packages in our knowledge exchange platform. So we have identified several topics that we want to share all our learnings with each other, and that is on the skills development. So what kind of skills are needed to let this hydrogen economy grow, skills for engineers, skills for managers, skills for process operators, and so on. And here you see the beauty of the How to Market project is that in the one region, we have already established a learning platform for hydrogen skills. And the other region is seeking on how to educate the process operators in a specific industry. And within our knowledge exchange platform, we can share this information with each other for the benefit of each other. And of course, we have a communication and dissemination work package to also make this knowledge available more public. So this is the management structure of the project, and now I will talk you through some observations of us as a project management on such a project, such a big consortium, and I formulated 4 questions. The first one was now how to build such a consortium. I think it was also a question in the chat to Elena. But when the I3 program was announced, I think the time to submit the very first proposals was almost a year, and I think you will need such a time to build a good consortium. And we engaged with our regional smart specialization strategy team. They already are established and they already have the contacts with other regions with the same smart specialization strategy. So engaging through them, you can connect relatively quickly with other regions to see, hey, are you facing the same challenges or problems, or do you have the same ideas on innovations in the hydrogen sector? So it's a quick connection to the relevant also policies and developments in Europe, but also a very quick connection to other regions and cluster organizations. And once you have established these relationships, then it is very good to, if not already done so in other projects or in other structures, to engage with these cluster organizations. Within How to Market, we have several cluster organizations. So that's NEC from the Netherlands, but WIFA from Austria, Erich from Germany, CNR Rome from France, CNR Italy, of course, from Italy. Because they are already vested in their regions, they know their partners, they know the projects, they have the vision on where it should go to, and that makes it very more likely to formulate the challenges and formulate a proposal. But you need to invest time in this writing phase. So connect with them and meet. We did meet once in Brussels physically, but of course in this beginning you will meet digitally, but you need to invest time in understanding all the sub projects and the partner needs and the timing of events. I think that is a very important phase, that you do this before you hand in the proposal, so that you have a clear vision on where you're going to. You can also make use of other matchmaking events. New Energy Coalition itself organizes some of the European Enterprise Network events, where you can organize matchmakings between companies with the same challenges or the same innovative ideas to get a collaboration out of it. And I think i3 is also organizing a platform like this. So this would also be a suggestion to look into this matchmaking tools that are offered either by i3 or either by the European Enterprise Network. But these are, well, some observations, some things to mention about building a consortium. Then next slide, please. Also some highlights on project management styles and structures, and there's what I really Lena already presented it. Create regular interfaces and see each other at least digitally. So we have monthly management board meetings. This management board consists out of the work package and task leaders. So it's a group of 12, 13 people that meet each other monthly. Of course, here we discuss the general process of the project, and the regular work packages also have their meetings. These are preceded by the work package leaders, of course. There, the more in-depth and detailed innovations can be discussed, and progress on deliverables and challenges on funding or on budgets can be discussed. And besides that, we invest a lot of time in also organizing internal knowledge exchange meetings. It's a bit different from Elena, but here we also have meetups, and the one time we discussed templates about how to do your unit cost accounting. The other time we discuss, okay, what are the learnings from the pilots in Sicily? Or we take a cross-cutting topic like standardization and regulation across the hydrogen value chain. But these are meetups or internal knowledge exchange meetings that really bring together the partners, not to discuss a deliverable, but to share the progress on the hydrogen developments in general. The one thing I want to mention here, physical consortium meetings, we also are planning to each year. We also had an amendment and extended the project for a full year. So we have then the same budget, so we cannot do all year two meetings, but these are essential to meet each other face to face and learn each other, because then the collaboration later on is much more easy. In all these meetings, from a project management side, I think you have to be a bit repetitive. Sometimes I also make an apology that I still want to present some slides about templates, about budgets, about the EU portal, what are the funding rules, but I think these are the things you really want to have between the ears of the partners. We are granted with a very nice sum of money from the E3, but it comes with some things you have to do. So it's good to do this. And I always explain that our grant agreement is a holy document, so everything in it, we add the KPIs, the goals, the investments are holy, but be aware that pilots always change. So you have to have a very high degree of flexibility and think along with the partners to change scopes, to change certain processes. If we can, in the end, show that we have done everything we can to fulfill the goals in the grant agreement, I think that it is very good. And I completely agree with Elena that a regular contact with your PO helps a lot. So they are really capable and really understanding of the dynamics of a project. As long as you have a good conversation with them, express your concerns about some bottlenecks or possible challenges. Yeah, it's very good to have this regular contact. Thank you. Next slide. Yes. I think this is a sort of wrap up of what some things I already mentioned. Invest in a good contact with the regional contact points. So Elena mentioned had a different name, the regional boards, but we have the cluster organizations in each region. So if you have a good contact with them and they can translate the wishes and the needs of the project with the industries, that's essential. So regular meetings, they are necessary. You can have short meetings, but it's good to have them regularly, monthly. I think. When you do a physical consortium meeting, it's also good to do social activity. So like an excursion to one of the SMEs or to a project, or to see something that's related to your project. So you're not in a room and have 20 presentations all day long, but also feel free to do some social activities, because the reward of this is also very high. If you have a bit of other interaction with your partners. I think email is still, in our project, a very normal way of communicating, but choose your moments strategically. My emails will not be read if I send 2 or 3 weekly with some assignments or some questions, etc. So certainly not weekly. So update your consortium strategically, I would say. And when you have a project with 40 partners, 40 plus partners, you need to allocate enough time for your administrative work. So also when you're drafting your proposal, don't underestimate the time for project management. Especially if you need to review detailed budget sheets, or if you need to do an amendment. These are all time-consuming tasks and activities. A last observation or remark, we also use SharePoint, a digital map structure that's very, very helpful. But in my opinion, this is always on a second place for the partners. So don't expect a lot of discussions through such a platform. So you can use it to upload your documents, to work on a document together. But we also have this interaction section on our SharePoint. But yeah, I must say, people need to log in on this specifically, and well, that is. It can be used a bit more, but yeah, expect a bit more. But for the basics, it's very useful to have all the documents centered in one place. So some other things, although we are not finished yet, I think I wanted to highlight the funding rhythm. We, as a coordinator, receive quite a lot of pre-funding, and we distribute it to all our partners. So at the beginning of the project, you can already distribute 70% upfront. And I think this is a lot because, well, of course, some projects you don't know for sure how they will evolve. So this is a risk. And of course, this is with the thought of having a smooth and only a couple of transactions. But then the last transaction, the 30%, is only after everything is reviewed. So that's also a bit late for SME. So the cash flow issue for SME is high. And that's my opinion. Also managing a couple of other projects, so we have to get adjusted to this unit cost. Also the rationale of it, I completely understand, but yeah, it's something different, and you have to get adjusted to it, and you need to explain this several times to get it into the heads of all the partners. And last but not least, my one word for project management was communication. I think invest in good contact and understanding the needs of the partners and communicate with each other is very, very important in managing such a project. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you.
Many thanks, Dirk, for your presentation. Very good insights. Could you please repeat, because of a question from Emma, which i3 strand your project is from?
Sorry, was that the question for me or?
Yeah, which i3 strand is your project from?
From the green. Sorry if I'm not the 2 point. I'm not even sure what the abbreviation was. I can quickly look up and put it in the chat. Yeah.
Also, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will give a last chance for everybody. Do you have any more questions for Dirk on his presentation and his experience? If not, in this case, also, oh yeah, thank you. Just a comment from Simone from the i3 and 8 chip. They're building a pilot project in Croatia, and we've connected to your project, so that's great to the H2 market and believe in a great cooperation. So that's very encouraging. Thank you very much also for the comment. Also, yeah, there's also the clarification. There's a Strand 1 project.
Thank you. Yeah.
Perfect. Then in case there are any more questions coming in, the chat, we will take it then after the last presentation. So now also thank you, Betty, for waiting and for listening in to the other presentations, and we will now hand over to you and to Wagralim.
Thank you, Nina. Hello to everyone. I hope I will not repeat too many things, but indeed, when it comes about management, a lot of information are of course the same, but I think that I will also add some different points. But I of course agree with Elena's and also Dirk's presentation. So I'm Betty Milano. I'm EU Affairs Officer at Wagralim. So Wagralim is an agri-food innovation cluster in Wallonia, so the French-speaking part of Belgium. We are clustered since 20 years next year, sorry. We are connecting academias with companies, so we have really this role to animate the ecosystem of agri and agri-food industry. We are working on the agriculture side, the industries, but also the consumers and the nutrition demands and needs. We are focusing on biotechnology. That's why it's also the project Biotech for Food. I will explain in a few minutes. So biotechnology in the food industry is for us very strategic point. That's why we took the coordination of this i3 project. And we are also, since I would say now 7-8 years, really elaborating our EU strategy. So how can we put our cluster, but also the other clusters, how can we implement it and bring it on the EU level? So thank you for inviting me in this I3 Support Facility webinar. Next slide, please. So the project funded under I3 is Biotech for Food. So in a nutshell, it's really about new promising circular agri-food value chains, sustainable industry interregional investment. So really involving companies, SMEs in the project by the integration of advanced biotechnology. Next slide, please. So what is it about? The project is really, it's a collaborative EU project. We have 26 partners started in 2023. It's really about the new value chains, focusing on the innovation investment from companies. So it's really between biotechnology and agri-food industry, and it's to improve, of course, food production processes, develop new ingredients, and evolve to a more circular agri-food industry when it comes, for example, the use of valorization of side streams. So it's really to implement, so support the companies in the implementation of biotechnologies, but also checking the ecosystem about biotechnology when it comes to an interregional project, so that it is also about resilience of the food industry. So you will see that the project is really focusing on agri-food SMEs. So they are really doing interregional innovation investments, and so they will. In this project, the companies are directly in the consortium. There is no FSTP, but they are directly integrated in the consortium. So this saying it's not an FSTP is perhaps a good thing, but also having companies directly as partners in the consortium is also on some levels quite I would say challenging work. Next slide, please. So this is the consortium. So we are mainly clusters, but we have also RTOs, and we have one regional authority. So we are, I would say, 11 non-industrial partners. As you see on the map, we are in the north of Spain, France, north and south. We are in Belgium, Flanders, and Wallonia. In Italy, region of Emilia-Romagna, and also Greece. It's a central region of Macedonia. And so these are the, I would say, the non-industrial partners. And then we have also 15 companies, so 15 SMEs who also are directly integrated in the consortium and into the management tasks with their own investment project. So that means that we are 26 partners. The project, as I said, started in 2023. So we are now exactly at the middle of, so to say, of the lifetime of the project. It's a project of 36 months with 8 regions, and it's a project about a little bit more than 4 million euros as total budget. Next slide. Yes, just a few words when it comes to SMEs, because this is also something important when you are involving companies, so especially SMEs in the I would say in the consortium. The profile of SME of the companies are quite very important. So just to let you know that the agri-food sector is mainly composed by SMEs. We are talking about fermentation and precision fermentation. These are the different biotechnologies which are relevant, and it's also very tough to have this agri-food industry, because a lot of time when you talk about biotech, it's more related to the farmer sector. So it's really to support the companies to develop their processes when it comes to the agri-food biotechnologies. Next slide, please. Just also, yeah, to let you know that why it is very important for us, but also to support the companies. We know that biotechnology is now in, I would say, in the shape at the European level. So there is this Biotech Act, which is now on work in progress. So it's also very, I would say, hot topic on the EU level. That's why it was very important for us to support the different companies from the different regions when it comes to biotechnology in the food industry. Next slide is just a few words about the activities, because how you structure your project, of course, so the activities you want to implement, the structure of the activities also will have an input and then a role on the different way you want to manage the project. So it is really to know what are the challenges of the ecosystem, what is the strategic vision when it comes to biotechnology. It's also how can we have this capacity building when it comes to this ecosystem basis and knowledge. We also wanted to have a very operational input from the companies. So all these things we can do on an ecosystem, are this really implementable? I would say in the solutions. That's why it's very important, of course, to have industries in the consortium, and they can really validate, I would say, the insights we'll have from the ecosystem, and then of course have this dissemination and exploitation activities. Communication is also something very important in the project. I will just come back to it later on. Next slide, please. Yeah, just also because this is also important for the management, I think that it's very important to link the project to a long-term strategy. Of course, we know projects could be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, but if you only do work on topics related to a project based, I think that you will not really have a lot of impact. Of course, for the companies, this will be very, very interesting. But as clusters, if you have this ecosystem, if you don't have this long-term strategy, it's not very, I would say, useful when it comes to what is after the project and when there is no more funding anymore. So I will not go, of course, too in detail about the different information and results of the project, but just to let you know that, for example, Biotech for Food is, I would say, project which was developed, elaborated under an S3 partnership, which is Ingredients for Circular Economy. So all the partners, the non-industrial partners, are also member of this partnership, because of it we know each other. That's also something very important. We know each other and we have the same priorities and the same challenges. So it's very, very important, of course, to have this long-term strategy when it comes to a project, because with the results of the project, even we are just at the half, but if we take other project results, you can have this long-term strategy. So taking these results, going back to the partnership or other kind of initiatives, discuss, mature, perhaps we'll have ideas for other kind of projects. So this long-term strategy vision, I think, to have impact on the ecosystem is quite important and relevant. Next slide, please. Yes, just again to say that when it comes to biotechnology, it was really strategic to see what can be done, how can we support, and there are several, I would say, implementation steps when it comes to biotechnology. So there was, of course, the mapping, connecting the community. So we're doing this kind of interregional relation when it comes also to skills and to R&D opportunities, and then the implementation part. So because biotechnology for the food industry is really like a driver for innovation and sustainability in the EU food industry. So long-term vision and strategic vision is very important also for the project. And then for the next slides, I will give some insights about the outputs. I think that also the outputs, because these are also linked to the way you will manage the project. So for the partners, if you take the ecosystem from the clusters, it's very important to have the link with the local policymakers, but also to map. Here it's biotechnology, but it could be also, of course, of kind of other topics. And for the industrial partners, it's also the companies, very important also to work with them together, check what are their needs. Here it was needs of investment skills and also training on technical skills. So it's also very important to take this in account when you write the different projects. Next slides, please. Yes, it's just the community, just to show that we are really focusing on a more long-term vision, so that we are also involving in this community. I foresee a community so that there is, yes, this long-term strategy. Next slide, please. So about the project management of Biotech for Food, next slide, we have like a very classic standard way of management structure. So we have different work packages. Work package 1 is about the management and the coordination. Then we have one work package more specific about the ecosystem and the road mapping of the topic, so the biotechnology. And then we have, I would say, 2 core work packages. With the first one is more how can we support the companies and the ecosystem, and then you have one work package really about the companies. with their own investment project, and how can we really support them in implementing the project in the different milestones and activity tasks they have. And then you have the work package, of course, about communication and dissemination of the results. So here you have a structure of different kind of meetings. So the management board meeting is the one really. But the management board is really meeting every month, also on a monthly basis. We do it online, but we try to do it 3-4 times a year in a physical meeting. And then we try also to do it back to back to other kind of events or other initiatives, so that we can also go, because it's also, and I will talk about it later, when it comes to engage the stakeholders, engage the companies. Being in European project, it's not really the most priority, I would say, of companies. They have their business. The project is only, I would say, one way or a tool for them. But really trying to engage them in coming in meetings. You need a very attractive program, I would say, so that they can join in different meetings. Then you have a steering committee. It's also online, or when it's possible to have it in physical meeting with all. So the management board is really with the work package leaders, and then you have the steering committee with all the partners. And when I say all the partners, it's also the industrial partners. So once a year, we have a very big steering committee meeting where the industrial and the non-industrial partners come together to have this follow-up of the implementation of the project, and more specifically, how do the companies do their project and implement it. But we have also, through other steering committee meetings, only with all the non-industrial partners. We have also one advisory board, normally one meeting per year. It's really to, as it is said, to have advice. We just share with them different results, the outputs, and as they are experts on biotech and linked to the companies, we really ask them to give us the input, so that we can also enhance our own strategy. And something very important, as we know that I3 is about also giving the opportunity to have companies in the partnership, in the consortium, having a main contact person. It's very important that the company exactly knows where can I get some information. Of course, could be the coordinator, but in the Biotech for Food project, we decided that each cluster, bringing one company is the main contact person of this cluster, because it's easier perhaps to understand the problems. It's perhaps also easier to speak in the mother tongue. English is not easy for everyone, and I take also my volume companies as example. It's easier to speak in French than in English. So it's very important for the companies to have one main contact person before, I would say, the coordinator. And we took the choice to have the clusters which they are related to be the main contact. Just I saw a question. It's a 2A strand project. I saw the question in this chat. Next slide, and going to be my last one. It's more about all the lessons learned, the challenges, and the solution we try to give in. I took here, when it comes to the size of the consortium, I take the proposal phase, but I think that the proposal phase is very crucial when it comes, of course, to project get granted. The size, I would say the size of the consortium. We are 26. I saw that Elena's, of course, is bigger. This is, I think, a very important question, because bigger the consortium means, even tougher it is to manage the partners. So I think that you will have to have in mind why is this partner strategic and essential for the project. It's really the question you have to ask yourself before saying, okay, you are part of the consortium. So the size is something very very important. I would also say the choice of partners, but more specifically the work package leaders, because for us, or for me as coordinator, is like the work package leaders are like, I would say, coordinator of one work package. So choosing the right, I would say, work package is really crucial, so that you are sure that the activities, the tasks are done as it was expected in the proposal and this is in the project. So for me, the work package leaders is not only saying, oh, I will take this one and this one. It's really important to think about. And of course, you have perhaps work package leaders who have more experience. That's good, but you should also, I would say, take work package leaders perhaps as co-lead, who has perhaps less experience, because it's important to have also this interregional and collaboration. And this is also something you can learn from your partners. So I would say mixing perhaps more experience, less experience, but work package leaders for me very crucial. The meetings, as I said, we do some online meetings and we do, of course, also physical meetings, and we try to connect this with events which could be for interest for the companies, but also the locations, because we talked about the travel, the unit cost, about travels and so on, the locations. Really, when you have your consortium, you know, okay, these are the different regions involved. Try to find locations easy to access for everyone. I know that normally you want to make everyone happy about locations. Okay, we go there and there, but yeah, this kind of traveling, when it comes to eco-friendly management, I would say, of the project, it's also important to think about locations. We already talked about the companies. As Annie's on board, we have here 15 companies on board. It's great to have them because there is really innovation. They really have impact, and being in contact with them, it's great. But having them on board is very, very challenging because, as I said, they don't have the same priorities. For some companies, they are very small, or they don't have a lot of experience in being in European project. But if you say to a company, okay, they are 3 or 4, you come now 2 or 3 days to, I don't know, an event, so you will not be at your company for 2 or 3 days, taking also into account the travel days. That's a lot of things we ask companies. So it's great to have them on board, but you also have to be very, I would say, very transparent since at the beginning, that there are mandatory things, mandatory activities, meetings, they have to be there, things, reports they have to do. And I think that you should be very transparent as beginning to say that this is the way it works, but it is our role also as clusters or as coordinator to facilitate, of course, the work of the companies. Should it be via templates, having like every 6 months, having an update of the projects, the task, and the budget is also something very important. So having like milestones, but saying that this is very essential to do for the companies, even if this is not very easy for the companies to understand as at the start. I also want to highlight the communication. Of course, external communication of the project is essential, but also internal communication is also very important. It's not very easy to find the right way to send information. Emails, yes, is great, but we have a lot of emails, so sometimes the information can be lost, or they say, oh, I don't remember really well. You have like online platforms, should it be SharePoint, Teams, and so on. To finding the right way is not so easy. I'm also trying sometimes to find the correct one, but I think that really sharing communication in a very very transparent information, very clear information, but also at the beginning of the project, really check how can you structure the communication flow and how can you share the information with the partners. So yeah, really important to work on this at the beginning of the project. I said it for the work package leaders, very important to have them trustful, I would say, partners of the project, because they are also, I would say, responsible for the success of the project. Also checking in all work packages, because of course you are the coordinator, but each work package is responsible for the going of its own work package. So perhaps also have some discussion about how will it be organized, meetings, regular meetings, minutes, to-do lists, and so on, and how will this information then come to the coordinator, because you can't be in all the meetings. That's quite impossible. I also want to highlight some important thing. I asked my colleague about their own project, was really to have this collaborative dynamic. So really have to commitment of all the partners in the project. Sometimes if you are not, for example, a task leader or work package leader, perhaps you can feel like not really included in the partnership, in the consortium, or in the activity. So you really have to find the good rate that each partner really feels committed and engaged into the consortium and into the activities they want to implement in the results. For example, that each partner could be perhaps a task leader, can also be a way to have this commitment. It was said 3 times, 2 times, and I will of course repeat for third time, yes, PO, the project officer, that's really, I would say, also essential. In our project, we had also a lot of amendments, some changes asked by ISMEA. Yes, it's very important to have, I would say, a stable PO. So all the projects. Trustful relation, regular communication, updates when you have some issues. Really, I think that they are also asking to have this kind of follow up with the coordinator. I think it's very important to have a very strong relation with the PO. And then my last one would be about this long-term vision. I just come back to it because I think that in the management, it is also very important to take this in account at the beginning. Really to work, if you want to have, because of course I3 here we talk about management, but if you really want to have also impact when it comes to management and the activities, having this long-term vision is very important, and integrating them also directly in the consortium, also to engage different stakeholders more than only for the project. And this will also be easier to engage stakeholders if you have this long-term vision. And this is also something you have to manage. If you have, like, I don't know, people who are joining in our advisory board, these are experts, they are not member of the partnership, of the consortium, but they are linked to the project. So that I also need to manage to these stakeholders, that they also feel engaged and that they give inputs, and perhaps they can also be partners after the project. So having this long-term vision in mind as a starting point is quite important. And I just wanted to go to a conclusion saying that when it comes to project and in proposal, the most question is who will be the coordinator, and this is like key when it comes to proposal and project. But I think that, and it could be sometimes also bottleneck, but I think that it's not only about the coordinator. Of course, you need one, but we are a team. We are a team working together on some tasks, on some impacts we want to have. So I think it's more than only one people or one organization. And then I just come back at the beginning of Slido and some information which was shared. I think that, taking the lead of a project is really, really, really challenging. It's complex, it's challenging, but it's really, I would say, you do useful things, and hoping that the impact of the project for the companies, for the ecosystem is really grateful. Thanks.
Wonderful. Many thanks, Betty, also to you and your presentation. I think you also had the webpage.
Some links.
So feel free to also share that in the chat. We have a question, and that maybe also relates to the point on the long-term vision that you have presented. From Cecilia, asking to what degree the connection with the existing S3 partnership has facilitated the day-to-day management of the project. Maybe you can comment on that.
Yes, I would say that this S3 partnership, so I4CE, was like, without I4CE, I think that perhaps there would not be a biotech for food project, or not in this framework, this shape. So I think that since the beginning, it was as the partners, the clusters know each other before, we had this kind of trustful relation. We know, okay, they are very good in this kind of activity. So it was like the basis for the proposal and then the project. So I would say that it was like very easy to have these partners on board, as they are involved in the S3 partnership. And it's also, as we know each other for several years, but for the partnership and partners more than 5 years. I think it's really we have a really trustful relation, but it's also easy to say, okay, I think that there we have some issue. How can we overcome it? So it's also, we are very transparent by saying that sometimes there's things which don't really work very well, and that we have to adapt and to change. And I think it's easier to say it when you know the partners and you know that you can be transparent, because it is very in a positive way you want to change the thing. So I think it was crucial to know the partners before.
Great, thank you very much. Looking at the time, we are now closing the webinar, but I would like to just take one more question, to just a clarification question, since all of you have referred to partners, and there's a question in the chat whether this you're referring to the full partners or with the budded or any associated the projects. Maybe you could quickly also respond to this. I see Elena's already put in the chat that she was referring to all the partners that signed the grant agreement.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Maybe Dirk, you can also quickly comment who you refer to when you were speaking about partners.
Yes, these are all the partners in the grant agreement, and they are full partners. We only have 2 associated partners with no budget, but we have 42 full partners, and also not with an FSTP structure, but they are directly included in the grant agreements.
Thank you. And Betty, you were also referring to the partners in the grant agreement?
Yes, indeed. So we're full partners, and we have 1 affiliated partners with budget, but yes, full partners.
Great. Thank you very much. If I'm not mistaken, we've answered all of your questions. So many thanks also to the audience for sending in your questions. Many thanks to Elena, Dirk, and Betty for speaking and for sharing your experience. Many thanks. And I hand over back to Justina.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you, everyone. We at i3 Instrument Support Facility want to thank you all for participating in the session. Hope you have learned a lot from our experts. I want to also thank all of the speakers today, all of the projects today for joining and telling their story and helping us to grow our i3 community. I want to also thank European Commission colleagues who were there helping to answer some of our questions. And as always, we would like to invite you all to participate in all of our activities, in our events, virtual events. And if you have any questions or topic suggestions for the upcoming virtual event sessions that are important for you, feel free to reach out to us and we will do our best to support your needs. For now, thank you all and hope to see you, many of you, next week in Brussels. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.